Now that we have a basic idea how to place our guides, let's take a look at some of the other tools available to us to help us get the type of hair shape that we want. So I'll go ahead and expand this out a bit, and I'm going to recreate this description. We'll just call this one Hair Test 2, 2, and we'll go ahead and make sure it's splines, random, and placing and shaping guides. We'll go ahead and create, and it looks like I already had one by that name, so I'm just going to go ahead and call it Hair 3. All right, so I'll go ahead and place some guides over here. I'll place maybe these 4 guides, and I'm going to make a few quick changes to them. We'll go ahead and select them, go to the guide control points, and let's go ahead and make them a little bit longer there, just same like we did before. We'll do the same with this one here. And let's say that I know I like these shapes. It's these 2 shapes that I kind of want to have these mimic. So one neat thing we can do is actually copy and paste the shapes. So for example, I can grab this one here, right click and say copy guide shape. I can select this one here, right click and hit paste guide shape, and you can see it'll match it. It won't be perfect because it's pasting it in a different location, but you can see it gets us kind of a large amount of the way there. So we'll go ahead and move that over, and I can do the same over here. We'll go ahead and select this one and hit copy guide shape and paste guide shape. And we'll go ahead and adjust this one a bit too. Oops. Let me go ahead and make sure I actually have that selected. Guide points, there we go. And we'll kind of position this one so it kind of fits behind the ear a little better. Okay, so we could see that's working for us. Now there are other tools available for us as well. Let's say that I want to make sure that all of these guides become a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. Now I could go in and select each guide individually. However, there's a tool that's going to help us with that. Now don't confuse this length option over here. This is just for our primitives. You can see it just makes them longer or shorter, but the guides stay the same. What I'm looking for is a little bit further down here under the guide tools, the same place where we looked at rebuild and normalize. We also here have set length. So I could say I want all the guides to be 1.5 units long, and you could see it's gone ahead and reshaped those guides to be longer or shorter. Let's go ahead and set them to maybe to be 2 units long. And you can see they get longer. And again, I can maybe stick to 1 unit and we can shorten them back up. So it's whatever we want them to be. I'm going to stick to maybe about 2 units long there. So you do have to be careful. It will mess with your shape a little bit, but it's still a very nice tool, especially if we haven't really sculpted them much yet, and especially if we want to change the length of a lot of different guide curves at once. So, and again, we still have rebuild and normalize the same as we looked at before to help us. Now, what if I want to create some new guides in here that don't already exist that have a similar shape? Well, one of the nice things is if we just go and start placing new guides, if we're kind of within that radius of each one of these hairs, it'll automatically try to interpolate the shape for us. So you can see that right there. It won't be perfect, and if you click too far away, you could see it won't actually work, but it definitely helps. So one thing we could do though is, let's say I want this kind of a shape down here. I could create a hair right there, and then what I can do is right click, use the Move Guides tool, and if I hold Control and click and drag, I can actually move that guide down over to there. Now the reason I'm mentioning is you have to hold Control is because if you don't, let's say if I go ahead and right click here, Move Guides tool, and just click, it just creates a new one. It's the same as using this tool right here. So if I want to move this one, I hold Control, click and drag, and you can see that will actually shift it for us. So you can see all those tools make it much easier to come in here and create the guide hairs that we want. Go ahead and do a preview, and you can see that's kind of working there. Go ahead and definitely increase the amount of hairs. Now, what if I want to mirror this over to the other side? Well, that's exceptionally easy. All we have to do is select the curves we want to work with, and I just need to use this option right over here. You can see it looks even kind of like a mirror. I click that, and you can see any curve that was selected does get mirrored to the opposite side. And there we go. Go ahead and close those off. So there are some other tools as well that we're going to look at in the next clip, and that's going to be here under Utilities that can help us shape out these guides a bit more. However, one more tool that I do want to go over in this clip, and it's actually relatively new, is called Sculpting the Guides. Now, what's kind of strange a little bit is you're not going to actually find this tool, at least as far as I can tell. I've kind of searched a little bit. You're not going to find it anywhere in any of these XGen options. You're also not going to find it up here. Surprisingly, the only place I found this tool is in the XGen shelf. So I'll come over here, select my XGen shelf, and it's going to be this tool right here. It's called Sculpt Guides. It's got the two little guide hairs and the little kind of directional gizmo. So I'm going to go ahead and select my hairs, turn on this tool, and double click on this to get my options. Now, it's a very limited tool. It's not going to work nearly as well as the sculpt system that we saw in the previous module, and that's because we're still pretty much sculpting these curves. So you can see as I highlight over them, whatever part turns red is the area I'm going to affect. And you can see I can come in here and kind of begin sculpting these hairs. So you can't really brush them. It doesn't work that way. It actually works, if you've used ZBrush at all, a little closer to something like the grab tool there. However, it's a nice and welcome addition to come in here and work with our hairs. Now you will notice you can't change the length of the hair. So to do that, you need to go ahead and turn off lock length, and now you will be able to actually change the length of the hair here. And you can see it's not necessarily, again, as useful as the other one. I don't want to make it seem like this is the end-all be-all combing tool, which some people I have heard say that. But it's a nice way to come in and actually work with our hairs all at once very, very quickly. You could even go with a very large brush, and you could see I can very gently kind of adjust the sculpt of my hair if I wanted to pull everything out in one specific area or pull everything down in one specific area. There. So, and let's say now I want to go ahead and mirror that effect over. Again, unfortunately there is no button that just says mirror over. What I would do though is grab these hairs, delete them, and then just reselect these over here and remirror. And you can see they're now on the opposite side. So that's a look at some other tools that are going to help us place and shape these guides. And the next clip we'll take a look at some of the utilities that are available to us. So I'll see you all there.